Hello, Lens Legends, and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profits Show. My name is Jim Landers, and it's my mission to uplift portrait photographers to make a great income doing what they love. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. For Digital Pro Lab, Amanda and her amazing, wonderful team are there to make you look like a hero, and they do it every day just because of who they are. Amanda hires the best, the most interesting, the people who love doing what they do. They are career people, not just making minimum wage. No, these people love what they do. And it is by default that they make you look like a hero. If you've not tried Digital Pro Lab, I encourage you right now. Go to digitalprolab.com and see the difference that Digital Pro Lab and Amanda and her amazing team can make in your business. And of course, for Landers Photography School, my company, I teach the photography side and the business side, although lately, the past few years, I do lean more heavily on the business side, making photographers make their passion a thing that is real and making a real solid career income for them. So reach out to me at jim@landersphotoschool.com to see the difference I can make in your business. Jim@landersphotoschool.com. During the show today, I want to encourage you to make comments and ask questions. Go to the comment section and ask questions, write your thoughts down. Of course, hit that like and the love button. Show your appreciation for the panelists that I have here today. And right now, I want to encourage you to go to the comment section and enter in hashtag live. Go to the comment section, enter in hashtag live. That tells me that you're watching us here on either Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube. We are simulcast to 8 different places. And so I want to know who is watching us this evening. And for those who are watching the replay, enter in hashtag replay. I want to thank you guys for taking your time to come out to watch the show this evening. We've got some wonderful panelists here, and I can't wait to introduce them to you. One thing I'd like for you to do before we do that is to share this show. Let other people know that it exists. They are going to gain something out of it, and they're going to thank you for it. So hit that share button. Let others know. Besides, that's how we let people know. We don't sell ads. We don't read off ads from Indeed, or there's no video commercial for Netflix. All the time and expenses are funded from our own pockets. And all we ask in exchange is that you share the Portrait Profit Show with others. Click that share button, invite others to the show, and help us build a brighter future by uplifting all photographers. I want to welcome you to our discussion on photographer support partners. Today, we're talking to some of the professionals who support and strengthen our industry. While we often discuss the business side of photography from the photographer's perspective, today we'll hear from the industry professionals whose roles and services help photographers succeed. Our guests will be sharing their insights, their philosophies, and perspectives on supporting the photography industry. They'll help us understand not just what they do, but why they do it and how their work impacts the success of professional photographers. They are here because they believe in uplifting the photographer community. So get ready to take notes, get ready to be inspired, and help me welcome the panelists by going to the comments section and typing in a thank you message for our generous panelists. Let's bring them on right now. So we've got Shivangi, we've got Courtney, we've got Jason. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. It's good to be here. Thanks, Jim, for having us on.
Doing great.
Doing well.
Glad you guys are here. You guys are awesome. You each have things that are going on. I know that this isn't something that you have plenty of time for. You've made it happen because you believe in photographers and uplifting photographers. And so we've got 4 faces on the screen right now that love other photographers, that love doing things that uplift other photographers. And so I want to thank you guys for that, because you're always doing things like that. And that makes me think you guys rock, and I love you for it.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm going to give each one of you a moment to introduce yourselves and what you do one at a time. So let me take each one of you off, and we'll start with Shivangi. Hang on just a moment.
Okay.
There we go. All right, you're first.
It sounds good. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Shivangi, and it just feels exciting to be here and like a full circle moment. Just a little fun fact here: 2 years back actually, when I met Jim, I was trying to convince him to come to one of the shows and, speak about how he started his photography journey and how he's helping photographers. And I still remember for a good few minutes, he came and talked about how 10 years back, he was selling a wedding photography package for about $12,000. And everyone was like, okay, what is this guy up to? Or something around that. And I still remember that. So when Jim messaged me about this, and I was like, okay, that feels like a full circle moment. I have to kind of, do it. All right. So I'll just give you a brief introduction. So my name is Shivangi, and I have been working with photographers for about last 3 years now. I started working with an AI culling company called Filter Pixel, and I was helping them with their social media marketing, with a lot of influencer marketing as well. So that's how I spoke to quite a few photographers in the industry and quite a few influencers as well. Moving on, last year, okay, last year, I keep on forgetting that 2025 has started. In 2023 is when I actually started out freelancing and started working with other photographers for their social media. So basically, I help photographers with their social media, for example, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook group, all of these things, but without doing paid ads. So all of this is done organically. And just a little proud moment, I have worked with about 40 plus brands in the photography space in the last year alone across 4 different countries. And although I do not like to give followers because I feel it's a vanity metric, but we have garnered about 300 to 450,000 impressions all organically too. So anyway, if you have any questions about social media or about how any of this works and how you all hate the Instagram algorithm, I'm actually here to take up any questions and talk about anything you would like to. So that's about me.
That is fantastic, Shivangi. Now, something that you guys may not know is it's Tuesday morning where Shivangi is at, and it's early in the morning. And so, probably a lot of her friends aren't even awake yet. And if they are, they're just getting their day started. And she's here with us, coming all the way from India. So thank you so much for doing that. I know this is it was a big ask, and you did it with open arms and a big smile.
That's absolutely, I mean, anything for you, Jim. That's fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to bring you back here in just a little bit. I'm going to bring on the other two to have them introduce themselves. Thank you, Shivangi. All right. So let's bring on Courtney. Courtney, How's
Hi.
it going? I mean,
Good. How are
talking
you?
about coming from a good distance, you did too. Okay, not from the other side of the world, but still a
One
good
state
distance.
over.
That's one state over, and you came
Yeah.
and you made sure that it happened. You made sure that your airline got you here on time. You
Mhm.
spoke with the captain, and you have good, a relationship with the airline, and they made
Absolutely.
sure everything went so perfectly smoothly so that you could be here this evening. Is that right? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. Lots of praying to the Southwest gods. So we appreciate it. But I'm really happy to be here. Usually we're emailing back and forth, so it's nice to
Yes,
chat with you in person, kind of in person.
absolutely. Well, thank you for being here, and tell us a little bit about you and what it is that you do for the photography community.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Courtney, and currently I am the marketing coordinator for Digital Pro Lab. So Digital Pro Lab is a full service professional printing lab that services San Antonio, but also all of South Texas and really kind of all over Texas, different states, and depending on what people are needing. So my role really includes a lot of our outreach efforts. So everything from managing our social media pages to our email marketing. And then we also have sort of an educational branch of what we do and a community driven branch of what we do called Photo Nights. Photo Nights is a kind of an incentive to bring photographers together. And that's really where I feel like I get to support the photographers the most through Digital Pro Lab. I mean, everything we do is for photographers, from giving you guys like quality prints and helping you guys with any sort of issues like that. But the Photo Nights aspect really is our community driven aspect, where we get to bring photographers together, whether it's for fun events like photo walks or kind of like little snappy hours where we do gear swaps. We also have classes that are taught by artists. So it gives photographers around San Antonio the chance to come and broaden their networks and to teach, and also make a little bit of income. And then we also run some master classes. So that's anything. Right now we have a Lightroom master class going on. That's really Amanda's realm. She's a genius in that, the owner. And then we're having a Photoshop one. We're going to be doing a portrait one, something for film photographers. So Amanda really wanted to be a center for the photography community in San Antonio. And what I get to do is sort of help facilitate all of those efforts through, planning the events, picking, just being out in the community, talking to different photographers, getting to know people, seeing if there's classes that we can do, being, innovative in that way, and getting to come up with fun events for photographers in the community to really get together, not just to network, because I'm a photographer myself and I know networking is so important, but sometimes just to hang out and get to know each other. I know in the photography community there's just so much going on. There's so many jobs to be done, and sometimes we're getting inquiries for certain jobs and things like that. And through these events, it's really nice because it just broadens everybody's really their network. And, we can refer other people and do things like that in an individual way. But yeah, through the lab, just getting to kind of be there in the middle of the Photo Nights, which was sort of Amanda's brainchild to help bring people into Digital Pro Lab in a new way. And it's been really, really great so far. So that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and
Yeah.
for what you and Digital Pro Lab are doing for the photographer community. There's a lot of things that people do for the photographer community, and it's always wonderful to hear about those like Amanda who are really pulling different sources together to make it happen. And so it's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to actually do it. And she's someone who does it constantly, who it's always on her mind. And she brings together good people like Courtney Warden to to make that happen, to facilitate it. So that is something that photographers appreciate, and that I, as someone who does the same, appreciates very much,
Yeah.
because we know that there's no one person who can reach everyone, and so we want everyone to participate in this. And of course, we're going to meet Jason here in just a little bit, and he also is someone who is trying to bring people into the community. He's starting a new venture to do what Amanda's been doing for years. And so I appreciate you being here, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts and your philosophies. And I'm going to bring on Jason to hear about him. So I'll bring you
Absolutely.
back shortly.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Courtney. Let's bring on Jason. So you got an opportunity to hear the other two. So I don't know if that means that we're saving the best for last. You got to adjust based on what they said. But tell us about you, your thoughts, your new venture that's coming up that I'm sure that all the photographers who are watching are going to perk their ears up when you start talking about what you're doing. So share a little bit about you, Jason.
Cool. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. And thank you to Shivangi and Courtney. Appreciate you joining us and being a part of this conversation too, because I have a lot to learn still myself. And so I just love hearing from other people that are in the community. So I'm a commercial advertising and editorial photographer. I also do graphic design, and I work more in that commercial space with agencies, with businesses to help build their brands and build out advertising. Creating stunning visuals is my goal in helping those businesses stand out. So that's kind of my background is in that. But right now, I'm in the process of launching a new venture for other creatives. It's been on my heart for probably, it's going on 8 years now, and it seems like it's finally going to happen. So I'm actually in the space right now that I'm building out. It'll be a collaborative co-working environment with a full studio. We're looking at maybe even launching a second studio, but with co-working desks and flex desk seating for people to come in and collaborate. Really, that's the ultimate goal is build out a collaborative environment for people to cross-pollinate between different mediums, photography, art, design, writing, video. So trying to bring that community together, because I think that's where we really learn to thrive, is when we're working together, we're collaborating with one another, and that's where new work comes from. So if you're not putting yourself out there in making connections in your community, I think as a business owner, if that's what you're doing in the photography space, trying to make a living at this, and you're not putting yourself out there and making connections, you're going to end up dying with your business. It's not going to survive. And so we need other people. And so that's ultimately what we're trying to do here at this new space. Anything else? I don't know. Thanks, Jim.
Well, like you said, I had an opportunity to go visit the space just a few days ago. It was Thursday. Yeah. Thursday evening. And it looks like an easy space to get to. Looks like there's plenty of parking. There's plenty of space inside that space. It looked like there were 2 studios there already, a headshot studio and a larger space. So that all looks good, and I can imagine that photographers are going to enjoy it. And it looks like a good place just to hang around, to meet up with other photographers. So a good space for social as well. I have the first question for you, and let me bring that question up so everybody can read it as I'm saying it to you. In your work, your new venture, you support photographers. So please describe what you do to support photographers, and what do you feel is or is going to be the most rewarding aspect?
Like I said, we're opening this collaborative co-working environment, studio space for photographers, but other creatives as well. And with the ultimate goal there is to help them thrive. And so I think that's done best with connection, like I said. My hope is to foster that creative community, much like Digital Pro Labs is doing. I think I'd love to partner with them to see how we can do that, where I'm partnering with Gabe Garcia from SA Creatives as well, as well as some other organizations. And so, the more we can invest in this community to build them up, we rise together, and so that's kind of the goal behind that. Building out networking opportunities as well. I love to, the access to some resources. Everything that you see behind me is going to be available as part of the rental process there to rent out the space. That's and I think to answer that second question, I think seeing creatives connect, seeing them grow their businesses, seeing them thriving, and really just putting cool work out there. Like, I love to see the creativity of people coming to life. And I hope that this space, it can be a part of that. I think that's probably the most rewarding for me. So.
Well, it's definitely going to be something that's going to attract attention and is going to be useful. It's not like there's not any other places to rent a studio.
Right.
However, the person who's behind it, when their heart is in it like yours, that really does make a difference in how it's received and how they're treated when they're there and how they feel when they're there. So
Yeah.
I'm anticipating your space to be a very welcoming one and one that is going to do very well. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Now, I would like to add, like, there are great studio spaces here in town. 1100 Collective, they're great. I know Josh and Kat Carey there that are just doing, they have a community there, and it's a great space. There's other spaces as well, and so I wanted to add to that. And not take away from anything that they're doing by any means. But I think building that community, we need more spaces. And what's nice about this space that we're in, like you said, it's conveniently located. We're right here on I-10 on the north side. And I don't know of anybody yet that's on this side of town. So I think that kind of gives a little more convenience for people. Like you said, most of those studio spaces are downtown. And so that can prevent a challenge for a lot of people, for their clients, and having to go down there to find parking, to fight traffic, fight the construction that's going on downtown, like constantly. And so I just wanted to add another resource to our community it's very convenient, and it kind of pushes it a little bit closer to people that are on the north side of San Antonio.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Jason. I'll bring you back in just a little bit for another question.
Cool. Thanks, Jim.
Let's bring on Shivangi. There we go. I think you're muted.
Okay.
There we go. So
right.
The same question for you. In your work, you support photographers. So describe what you do to support photographers, and what do you feel is the most rewarding aspect for you personally?
All right. So, just to of course, like I mentioned that I help photographers manage their social media, but just to actually get in depth of it, of course, I'm helping them make reels, make those pretty layout carousels, post on Pinterest, get leads via all of this. But I believe in the essence of it, how is it helping you? It's helping you save time and of course get discovered by your potential target audience using Instagram and using platforms like Facebook communities as well. I feel something that how my experience with clients especially stands out is number one, I am exclusively catering to photographers itself. So of course that's the main part, but also how am I able to customize the strategy for each person that I'm working with is something that I feel really stands out. So I believe that is how I'm helping supporting photographers and the wedding vendor industry. Moving on, you mentioned that, how is it rewarding? So for me, I really love to see what my work is bringing me as well as my clients. And just especially seeing that, okay, this is the impact that it has created has really helped me and made me feel, okay, like this is worth it. And it's not just that, we get impressions, or it's not just that there are a few numbers that just shot up after every post. It's almost like, so when I speak to my clients, it's almost when they tell me that, okay, this bride actually told me that she saw this particular reel, and that's what prompted her to book the call with me. So all of these small things, this might not, seem like a big thing for you, but all of these small things just matter a lot, and say that your audience is watching the content, and you put in the time and that extra effort to craft in that special strategy, and also to craft in that special reel. So yeah, that's mostly what helps me appreciate all the work that I am doing, and also helps my clients appreciate the work that I'm doing.
And I know they do, because you do such a good job. And talking about someone who has a heart, has a lot of feeling. It's like you build a special connection, with each of the people that you work with. And I can't imagine that they're not feeling that, and they that makes a huge amount of difference. I know I've always enjoyed every time we've talked, every time we've worked together, I feel that you actually care about how people are living and growing and progressing, and that does make a big difference.
Absolutely, that is the goal, right?
Thank you, Shivangi. All right, I'm going to ask Courtney that same question, and I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. All right, Courtney. So you get to answer this first question. You're the last person that gets to answer it. But in your work, you are supporting photographers. Now, you also do photography too, but in your work as the marketing coordinator for Digital Pro Lab, you are supporting photographers. So please describe what it is that you are doing to support photographers, and what you feel personally is the most rewarding aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I accidentally answered some of that in my introduction, but
well, that's good. That's fine. We get to hear more.
Got a little bit of that out of the way. But like I said, like everything that Digital Pro Lab does, the heart of everything is to support photographers, to support you having the best prints and the best business. And through our photo nights initiative, like I said, our programming is all about kind of assessing photographers' needs, kind of where people are at, keeping an eye on what people are looking for, what things we think might be useful, what photographers in the community are doing things that are different and unique, and sort of keeping our radar open to that at all times so that we can implement that into our programming. And I think just having a place where, for what I've seen, that photographers can come, whether you just got a camera, whether you're starting your photography business, or whether you've been doing it for years and years and years, and you need to re-up on your Lightroom skills, or you want to learn more about these softwares that have changed and evolved over time. We can provide those spaces for people. And it's been really cool to learn from Amanda how to keep my ear to the ground, how to think in that way too, of what can we be doing for other people and what do people really need, and then creating those spaces. I mean, we kind of started with photo nights that were bi-weekly, so every month we had 2, and we started with a big launch party, and that was like a really, really cool experience, because we just put feelers out and we're like, hey, we're launching this thing, we're not going to tell you what it is, but we're doing this thing, and come to the lab, and then we're going to tell you guys. And we had this huge party. And since we've started the photo nights, what's been really cool for me is seeing people that were maybe either at the launch party to just kind of suss it out, no one really knew what we were doing, or I've met people, it was their first time in Digital Pro Lab, to come to one of our classes about editing or portrait photography or lighting. And it's been about 2 years now, I think. And we, connect with these people on social media and see these people. And I've been running social media platforms for the past 10 years of my life. And what's really neat about our Instagram and Facebook community is that it's sort of in real life, like evolving, and we get to see these people's businesses grow. I've made so many friends at photo nights, and I've seen them from when they were, too shy to start an Instagram to now they're booking clients, and we get to see that, and we get to be there for them through those victories, and we get to be there for them to answer any questions they have. Amanda and then Ray, the other owner of Digital Pro Lab, have years and years and years of experience in the photography industry. I have about 10 to 12. And so it's really neat to not only be learning from people with more, but to be able to provide a space for people who are brand new and see them, over time evolve and have this community and get to see people I met, when I was working in the front of the lab, meet people that I meet at photo nights. And then they're all of a sudden going off and doing jobs together and portrait shoots together and weddings together. And just seeing that community grow for me has been, sometimes I just sit in the classes and I cry actually, because I get so overwhelmed. It's so cool to see it. We have people who have been wanting to teach classes for a long time. And our photo nights, gives them an opportunity to do that, to get their name out there, to get their voice out there. And so for me, I think the people part of all of it and that just support and community that we've grown has been beautiful. I mean, I love it. It's, it's our baby. So, or at least it's my baby, but yeah, I love it so much. So.
Well, it definitely makes a difference. And I know a lot of people have definitely been impacted positively by it. So it's fantastic. And thank you for all that you're doing to make that happen. Now, the next question, I'm going to start with you. And based on this job and the things it entails, the things that you've learned, how has your understanding of photographers' needs evolved over time?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Amanda. So working with Amanda in any way, it's kind of impossible not to evolve, to grow and learn. And I'm only one type of photographer. I've been doing portrait photography and wedding photography for a long time. But Digital Pro Lab has opened my world up to a whole new view of photographers. We have people who are doing their high volume photography, the school photographers, the film photographers, there's so many different types of photographers. And I think working at the lab and doing photo nights and, getting to partner with different people and just have these conversations, it's really hard not to learn and grow when you're surrounded by so many people in our city who are dedicated to learning and growing and to being there for the community. So yeah, I think it's just, when you're in something, that's sort of all you see sometimes. And so it's kind of taken me out of the role of photographer and put me in this role so that I can be of service to more types of photographers around the city.
Nice. Yeah, it's you definitely are in a position where it would be hard not to notice what things are changing and what things are needed. And of course, you are growing and evolving, and it helps that you have the photographer interests also, and so that you're seeing those needs and the changes that are happening. So perfect. Thank you, Courtney.
Thanks.
I'm going to bring you back here in just a little bit. I'm going to bring on Jason next. So let's bring on Jason. And Jason, can you tell us a little bit about how your understanding of photographers' needs has evolved? I mean, you mentioned that for the last 8 years or so, you've had this goal in mind. It's been in your heart to create something that would benefit photographers. And I'm sure you've seen some things that have changed. And as you're beginning to announce this new venture, I bet even more are coming to light. So tell us a little bit about those thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's the needs are constantly evolving, right? Because the industry is constantly changing as new tools and technologies come out. But I think what really kind of opened my eyes more to seeing the needs is when I went full-time freelancing a couple years ago to do this on my own, and kind of realizing. Yeah, I don't have everything I need to know, I don't know everything. And so having mentors in my life, finding people that would kind of share their knowledge with me has been really valuable. So I think over time, one of those things I've learned is that you need more than just great photography skills to survive. Putting great work out there is important. Honing your craft and continuing to develop that is very important, but you also need some soft skills, you know, people skills, I guess, especially if you photograph people, portraits. You kind of have to be good with people and bring out the best in them. And so I think learning those skills is very important. It's been critical for me. You know, putting myself out there more and attending some of these events, being a part of the community has been pretty invaluable to me. What else? I think business skills as well was something that I think a lot of photographers might be lacking. I know that I was in-house creative for a long time at an organization, and so I knew the creative side, but I didn't necessarily know the business side of how to run your own business, and so that's been something that I've kind of been my eyes have been opened up to in the last couple of years here, learning those skills and just gleaning from people in the community that have kind of shed a little light, pulled back the curtain a little bit to showcase what they do, and so that's been super helpful. Like I said, the mentorship, that's kind of one of the biggest challenges is finding one, but they're out there, the right people. If you can find the right person to connect with, I had to seek it out, and so I think if you're willing to put yourself out there and ask, somebody's going to step up and be that for you. So particularly Josh Huskin and Mark Greenberg are two people that have helped me in the last 2 years. And I just want to say publicly a thank you to both of them. Hopefully they're watching, but they've both been great to me. Another photographer that I've assisted quite a bit over the last 2 years is out of Washington. His name's Alan, and he was Alan Karshmer, architectural photographer actually. And so he really helped me in a lot of ways, just observing how he works with his clients. And so, people like that exist. And I'm very appreciative of that. And so I hope that through the space that we're creating here, that we can help connect people to those kinds of mentors and bring those kind of people to the space to help photographers thrive.
Sounds good to me. You covered a lot of different points,
Yeah.
and I, of course, am grateful for the covering the business side, because that's where I spend
Yeah.
the majority of my time is helping photographers on the business side.
Yeah.
So that is an area that photographers have difficulty in, and don't take as they're not investing as much time as they really need to
Sure.
on the business side.
Well, it's not the fun thing to do, right? Like, we want to be
It's not
creative,
the
we
fun
want to
thing.
make great images, and it's more challenging. It takes a
But
different
it
side of your
can
brain.
become
Yeah.
the fun side, because
Yeah.
at first I had no interest in the
Mhm.
business side. I mean, it was part of it. It was a necessary thing.
Yeah.
But my interest was in the creation. I
Yeah.
enjoyed creating. I enjoyed spending time with my clients and talking with them. That's the thing that I like. The business side, I didn't want anything to do really with the
Yeah.
business side. I came to love the business side, and now I think I like the business side more than the
Hmm.
creation side, which would never, going back a handful of years, I would never have believed that I could say such a thing. But there are so many creative and interesting things you can do on the business side. And the people have this preconceived idea of what sales is. But most people have a wrong idea of what sales is, because sales is just helping someone get what they want, which is something that we photographers actually want.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're already salespeople. We just, for some reason, have a negative connotation of it.
Sure.
But when we start studying it and seeing it for what it actually is, not the bad experience you had with the salesperson at one point, because that's just a bad experience. That doesn't define everything. But when we start understanding that, then it really makes a difference.
Well, thank you for what you do, Jim. I appreciate that, because I think that's needed more than ever. I appreciate what you're doing for our community of giving back and helping build people up and give them the tools they need. We need more of that. So
well,
that.
It's certainly fun to do. But I thank you for bringing up all these different things. I'm going to come back to you here in just a little bit, because I've got some more questions for you. But thank you for for the good answers on that one. I'm going to ask Shivangi that same question. I'll come back to you shortly. Shivangi, what do you think about this? I mean, I'm sure that your thoughts and ideas have changed over time. So how has your understanding of photographers' needs evolved?
Okay. So I think like one of the main points were what Jason and you were just discussing was the business side of things. Because, most of the photographers that I know and most of the creatives actually, when they get started, they're doing it for the passion and because they love what they're doing. And, they want to now earn from what they're doing. But just the business side of the things and understanding of all of these things is where they need to spend more time learning it and also just time perfecting it too. So, and then I realized that, that's just no one thing when it comes to business, because when I started working with photographers and, when I started speaking to them, I thought, it's just social media or it's just culling, it's just editing. I'm pretty sure they have the time and they would like to do it on their own. As much as they would like to do it on their own, they cannot because they have 25 other things on their plate to do that as well, right? Like, so I was working with a lot of photographers just to understand their workflow as well. Uh, let's not even talk before the shoot and the planning that goes into it and actually getting the lead and actually getting a client. But even post the shoot, there's culling, there's editing, there's actually client communications, and then posting that gallery on social media, and then actually finally getting the album to the client and retainers, and then starting again with the entire client communication process and getting more leads. So I realized that time and expertise are the two things that as much as people would like to have, but they cannot master it all. And that was like one of the main things that I realized that people need help with. Even if they want to do it, they need someone on the team that they can just sort of share their vision with, and someone who can execute it for them, or someone who can bring in some strategies on board and, just do the execution portion again. Another thing that I have realized, and this is purely from feedback from my clients, I sit down with them every month. I try and have a check-in call with every client every month, and just to understand, what is going on, where can we improve, what are the trends happening in the industry. So I feel the creative portion and the strategy portion always keeps on evolving. What my client call looked like 6 months back doesn't look the same that happened last week. So again, just with evolving trends and just with how the social media landscape is also changing, with the video trends coming in, with the personal branding aspect coming in, everything is also changing. But that is like the main learnings that I've sort of gotten in this process until now.
Yes, a lot of stuff. And that communication with your clients, I'm sure they ask you some tough questions, some ones that you have already dealt with and know exactly how to answer, and maybe some ones that you haven't, and you're having to do a little research and find out more. And so that kind of brings me to my next question. I'm going to ask you first. And what questions do you have for portrait photographers, specifically portrait photographers? What things would you like to know about us that will help you do what you do to help support us?
Okay. Sounds good. So I have worked with portrait photographers as well previously, but majority of my clients do come from like the lifestyle, wedding, and boudoir photography. So definitely a few questions I have. Number one would be, of course, let's say when it comes to platform, what is the effective platform that you've seen success coming with? For me, Instagram is a great platform. Pinterest, we've got a lot of leads from. Surprisingly, we just started, marketing there a year or so back. And Facebook communities, I already love that because I have loved the power of community. But specifically when it comes to portrait photographers, and this experience would be different for everybody. I also want to understand what's the effective platforms that have worked for you, and organic or paid marketing. This is kind of like a question that I've been asked a lot of times too, that why aren't we running ads, or why are we running ads? So just if you have any experience around, okay, what works, if you've done paid marketing ad campaigns, how have they resulted for you? My main niche is doing marketing organically, but I'm still always open to hearing how paid marketing and ads are actually running for people. I have also heard a lot of people say that it doesn't work unless you pay Instagram money, and that is ads. But my results have always been otherwise. So again, open to hearing. Another question. Okay, so this is possibly not Instagram or social media specific, but let's say if you worked with service providers before, specifically in the marketing domain, and how has your experience been with that? And if there's any feedback or if there's any gap, that you feel, okay, there's this problem, but I'm not able to find anybody to solve it. I would also like to hear that out too. So possibly my 3 questions. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I think that that really helps not only you in understanding them, but them in knowing how to communicate with those who are supporting them.
Right.
Those are questions that they might know, but they probably have to think about a little bit in order to come to those conclusions, and maybe haven't thought about those, at least not to the point where they probably should. So thank you for sharing those with us.
I'd actually like to add, when it comes to the point of asking the service provider, there have been a few questionnaires, blogs, or Instagram reels kind of going around that here are 5 things you should be asking your service provider. While all of that is a good base to get started with, I would say just have clear communication and, go on with what is your need, rather than just picking up those 5 questions and being like, because I've been asked those 5 questions again and again, right? So I know that it's not coming from their actual need, or it's not coming from their actual requirement, but it's coming from 5 questions that are just readily available somewhere to be asked with. These were just a few questions that I feel you should also, of course, ask yourself, and just to understand if you should be outsourcing or not too. I know it's not for everybody. So that is like a totally different ball game, that, if you need to outsource, if you do not need to, and what questions should you be asking.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to ask Courtney that same question, and I'll come back to you in just a little bit. So Courtney, as not so much as your as a photographer, but as your role in Digital Pro Lab, what questions do you have for portrait photographers? What things would you like to know about us that will help you do your job even better?
Yeah. I mean, we're here for y'all, right? So it's just important to me and, us, that there's sort of an open line, like of communication between us and all types of photographers. But for our portrait photographers, because I know that does makes up a big percentage of people I know in the photography community, just personally. We always want to know what kinds of classes, what sorts of things are helpful for y'all. What are you needing? And sometimes it's like one of those situations where, the teacher asks a question and then no one wants to say that they need the one thing. But when you really start the conversation and having the open conversations, it's like, maybe we're needing this type of thing. And by opening that up, a lot of other people can say like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm struggling with that too. And so not just like I would say not just the simple, like, sort of obvious answers of what portrait photographers are needing when it comes to, help with their photography or different techniques or softwares or business. But really the grittier, stuff, so that we can really be there for people. And yeah, really too, as far as everything, that we do being pointed back to not only serving our photography community, but, getting people to print, how can we be there in a bigger way to help you guys, help your customers and clients want to be printing the work that you're producing for them? Because I know that's a big thing. We get, a lot of our portrait photographers that print through us too. So I'm always curious to know, like, how can we help facilitate that better as well?
Just means you care. And of course, that makes all the difference.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, thank you for what you're doing, Courtney. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask that same question now of Jason, and I'll see you here in just a moment. So, Jason, what are your thoughts here? You're definitely on the photography side, but as a photography vendor now in your new venture, you are doing things that are supporting portrait photographers and all different types of photographers, really. But
Yeah.
you're doing things that support photographers. What things would you like to know about us that will help you do what you're trying to do even better?
Yeah, I think probably to piggyback off of what Courtney was talking about, because we do want to start rolling out some workshops and classes and things like that to help support and build up photographers. And so knowing that kind of stuff, where do you lack? What are you needing? What barriers are you currently facing in growing your business? So that we can kind of bring in the right people to facilitate those classes and give you the tools you need to succeed. I love to attend those kinds of things too, because I don't fully know everything myself yet, and I think having people that can do that, would be a great value to myself as well. So I think also, as I'm kind of sitting in this studio space, one of the things I'm trying to do right now is bring people in and get a lot of feedback from photographers. So I've been asking photographer friends, hey, come check out the space. Tell me what you think. I need your feedback. I want input from the community. I want people that are doing the work to have the right tools. And so what things can we add to the space? How can we, what backdrops are you using? What lights are you using? Those types of things, so that we can outfit the space accordingly and give you the tools you need to create your best work.
And that all sounds good. Thank you, Jason.
Mhm.
Well, I'm going to ask you the next question. Start
All right.
with you. And I'm actually going to combine the next two questions because I think this one is one that is easily combined. So, what advice would you give to photographers about making the most of your services? And if resources were unlimited, what additional support would you offer photographers? Like, what's in the future for what you have?
That's a great question. Yeah. I think asking for help, I think I have a hard time with that. And I think for what we're offering of, bringing about a collaborative community, bringing in the right people to be able to answer questions like that, I'm here to help, as well, as much as I can. But you got to not be afraid to ask the questions and put yourself out there. And I think the other thing would be to invest in yourself, not just in gear. Gear is great, and I get happy about buying new gear too. But I think a lot of times we spend money on gear thinking that it's going to make us a better photographer, but in reality, working on ourselves as a person, and our business skills, on our communication skills, will actually advance us far more than any gear would ever advance us. So I think those are kind of the things that as we're kind of coming into this, trying to build that space for people, engaging with us, ask questions, and don't be afraid to give feedback as well. Receive feedback, but be willing to raise your hand and give your opinion as well. I think also engaging fully when you're attending, when you're putting yourself out there, you're attending things, engaging fully when you're there, making those connections, reaching out to people. I know it can be intimidating to put yourself out there. I'm actually a fairly introverted person, but I've learned over the years that I can't be if I'm going to succeed at this. And so, make sure that you're working on those skills and being willing to approach people and ask questions and talk to people. And then I think, so the second question about unlimited unlimited resources, what would we do? That's that's a fun question because resources are limited. So I think we would like to offer more studio spaces to really build this out, to have more space for people, even more gear. You know, I talked about gear earlier. You know, we want to give the tools to people that they need. I would like to expand. One of my dreams and goals for this project is actually to have an art gallery space for artists and people in the community to show their work. I think having that, like, it's validating to be able to put your art up on the wall, you know, and I think that Digital Pro Labs probably can attest to that. I think for photographers and artists to be able to print their work, there's something about print that just it's totally different than looking at it on a screen, and it's a beautiful thing. So, you know, having a space for that would be just a dream come true. I also love coffee. And so having a coffee shop or a coffee space here eventually would be amazing. And so kind of just combining all the things that I love in this space and, you know, giving it back to people, coffee, art, photography, design, bringing all that together and in a community to enjoy it, you know, I think is something I would love to do. And I think the last thing I'd really love to do would be to have grant programs to support photographers launching, you know, those really big ambitious projects. Sometimes I have really big audacious goals I have no problem dreaming, but I don't have the funds to do it. So I think if there was some sort of program that we could develop and build out for that to offer grants to photographers and artists, I think that would be amazing. That's really like a lot of the struggle that we have is the money struggle. And so getting that to people, funding their projects and bringing that creativity to life would be super exciting to do.
I agree. Yeah. So that mean you're going to start a nonprofit? Is that how you're going to do that?
I don't know how we're going to do it.
To be determined. Okay.
You got the money, Jim. Send it my way, and I will funnel it to the right people.
Love it. Thanks, Jason.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to ask that same question now of Shivangi. I'll bring you back here in just a bit. Shivangi, what do you think about this? I mean, I'm combining two of the questions. So what advice would you give photographers about making the most of support services like yours? And if resources were not limited, what additional support would you just love to be able to offer photographers?
Right. Okay. So starting with the first one, because we were actually touching on that topic, advice that I would like to give is having clear communication. We back to where we started. Give as much feedback as possible. Whenever I start working with a client, we're talking about social media, we're talking about creating reels. This is all such a creative element that what your vision looks like and what the other person's vision is gonna look like is going to be a bit different, right? So of course, there has to be a vetting process where you decide if this is the right service provider or the social media manager for you or not. But even moving forward, like this is the person that you've decided to go forward with, at least spend that first month giving clear communication and having that clear feedback. If you do not like something, please tell them. If it's just your caption, if it's just one image that that person used that you do not like. When I first started working with the client, like my first client ever, I literally asked her, okay, is this photo okay? Is this photo okay? Is this caption okay? Is this flow okay? So, get as specific as possible. And that's how they'd be able to curate a better experience for you. So number one is that, having clear communication. Number two is there is a reason you hired that person. So do be open to hearing their, strategies or their inputs on things. So that is why I always try to have that collaborative approach. And it's not just because, I want to give in my inputs on the strategy or anything. It's also because when two minds are brainstorming and there are, two visions coming into play, like you, the person who's gone and shot out that wedding, or who's done that portrait session, or who's gone out and captured that behind the scenes. And I'm the one who's putting all of this into place, or creating a script for you, or creating a strategy or an idea for you. So collaboration goes a long way. And the third one is having patience and consistency. This is just a very normal thing that applies to every social media account or every marketing in general. You're not gonna go viral overnight. You shouldn't even be aiming at going viral, first of all. And it's gonna take time for your efforts to actually be fruitful. But I just want to remind you that your target audience, if you're posting, your clients are actually looking at your videos, they're looking at your carousels, and they take a lot of hits before they actually reach out to you for that one inquiry. So just be patient. It's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in a week. It's not gonna happen in a month, if we being honest. But you have to put in the efforts and you have to have that patience. So that's majorly on the advice side, and this is specific to a lot on what I do and what I have seen. Of course, it'll differ a lot for different service providers. So that's answering your first question. When it comes to your second question, if I had unlimited resources, that's like a very wrong question, because this is what I have been working on over the past year. We started with this, right? I do one-on-one sessions and I try to customize and personalize the experience so much that I do not want to just take on clients for the sake of it. So I have to focus on the quality rather than the quantity, because one-on-one connection cannot be replaced by a product or cannot be replaced by AI. And that is not even something that I'm trying to do. And I had to say no to a lot of great projects just because I wanted to have that quality that I was delivering and also have that connection. So, of course, if I can ever find a way to replicate myself, that would be like time and resources is something that I am currently working on how I can cater to more photographers in the industry, and how I can also, provide that one-on-one experience and also customize it in some way or the other. uh, and also because, like Jim mentioned, I am currently in India, so I am staying in the other side of the world. Content creation is also something that I would like to offer. Let's say when it just comes to helping photographers with their behind the scenes, when they're at the session, or even brides with their wedding content creation, all of these things is also something that I would like to offer. So that is also something I'm currently looking into. That's second. And third is digital products. I've already started working on it, and I already have a lot of people who are enjoying using those digital products. For example, carousel templates. I'll link them here just so it makes better sense of what I'm talking about. I have also designed a magazine template now. For example, right after your portrait session, imagine sending out a magazine as a teaser, or after a month, to your client, which they can keep on their coffee table, or it's like a coffee table book. So these are a few templates that I'm currently designing or have already designed. Something that elevates your client experience, plus it's pretty simple to do so. So I'm just sort of streamlining it and working on how I can do more of this and just cater more towards the photography industry, and not just elevate my client's experience but my client's client experience too. So that's kind of all of it summed up.
And it's a lot of stuff, and it definitely will help us photographers. So thanks.
All right, cool.
Uh, that's going to be good. I think a lot of people will be able to be to benefit from those services that you're offering. And for those of you who are watching, she is awesome at what she does. She really cares about you. So you reach out to her about your social media marketing, because she can help a lot. So
Thanks for
all right, I'm
that.
going to ask that same question now of Courtney, and I'll be right back to you in a bit. So, Courtney, I think you're on mute, but what advice would you give to photographers about using Digital Pro Lab? There's some that may not know. There's some that maybe could know a little bit more about what you're doing. And
Mhm.
tell me what the future looks like. What if resources were unlimited? And I'm thinking more about on your side of things. Your job is just to is sharing what it is that Digital Pro Lab does. If your resources were unlimited, what things would you be doing to support photographers and get that word out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my first advice would be to print your work. I want a magazine of myself now that she said that. No, but print your work and print your clients' photos. And sometimes I think that we live in an age that people don't understand the importance of it. And if I could give any advice to photographers about using Digital Pro Lab services, it's worth it to kind of I'm going to say push that on people, but to start the conversation, to show people how important printing is. We see it every single day. And it's really instilled it in me just working there from working in the front end customer service and seeing people bring in 200-year-old wedding portraits and portraits of their grandparents when they first started dating and their family portraits and all of these family heirlooms, how important it is to print. And so I think that it is our job as photographers not only to provide a great service in photography, but to also to educate other people on why is it important to get these photos printed and not just leave them in your phone, not just use them for social media, but to have the albums, to have the prints, even if they're 4x6s, and I would just encourage photographers everywhere to, if you're not printing your work, if you haven't, no matter what kind of photographer you are, if you haven't seen your work printed, maybe I started just printing sort of off my things that I've been doing, here and there, but print one photo from every shoot. And so you start seeing the difference so you can educate your clients. And that's also going to help increase your profit, right? It's portrait profit. So, these are things that you can sell. They're profits or prints you can sell, but you sort of have to believe in that first. And it's up to us to educate people about why it's so important. So, and showing people what their photos look like printed when you're actually holding them, when they're tangible memories versus just on your screen, which so many of us, I mean, I'm guilty of it too, keep all of my stuff on my phone. And then in regards to our photo night stuff, I'm sort of more like Jason. I'm a little bit more introverted, but, continuing our education and keeping your mind fresh and new ideas going is really important. They're really accessible classes. They're $25 per class. And then we have our master classes, which are a great price for 5 weeks. And, just come, even if you're shy. It's a great community. Someone's going to be there to greet you and tell you hello. And we're always happy to see new faces. So I would say that, yeah, start printing your work, and believing in the power of printing, I think, is so important, and being able to educate other people on that. If I had unlimited resources to share what Digital Pro Lab could do, that's a big question. I love what we do. I love getting to be the one behind, the vision of the lab. Well, not behind the vision, but that gets to share the vision and the mission of printing. I think if we had unlimited resources, just being able to reach more people, as many people as possible, as many types of photographers as possible through different types of content creation and storytelling and things like that. So, yeah.
Cool. Whoop. Why is it not showing both of us? There it goes.
Hey.
Technical issue. Well, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I have a question, this next question, that is about there's probably been times when you are trying to get a message out and you're not getting the impact that you want, or that someone is, or that people aren't maybe not realizing what impact this could have on them. So could you tell us what's something about your work, about Digital Pro Lab, that someone may not be realizing could even have this kind of impact on them, that you, based on your position, it could have a good impact on them?
Yeah, I think in the realm of the portrait photographers, we have seen people who, weren't printing before, weren't utilizing that tool and sort of that way of, it's kind of evergreen profit, right? I mean, you have a shoot, you have your digital gallery, you deliver the digital, and then a lot of times it just stops at that. And I think what's been cool is seeing how prints can impact people's lives in a way of being a small business owner, being, any type of business owner, and implementing the printing into your sales process. I've seen a lot of photographers be able to, just make more income, make more profit off what they're doing. Their work goes further because you're going to deliver a digital gallery, right? In whatever case, but anybody can print through those, and so offering that product kind of widens, who you're able to sell those images to, whether it's family members, grandmas, grandpas, things like that, whoever the client decides to open it up to. But it just really can, I don't want to say it's easy money. It's not. Nothing about anything photographers do, I think, is easy or simple. It's such a craft and a process, but it is something that you can, with a little bit of effort, set up and implement, and you're going to, get a lot of return out of it, so.
Yeah, I agree with that. Printing is where it's at, but not everyone realizes that. Go back 20, 30 years, and that's all anyone did. No one ever got the negatives. That was, and it wasn't that they didn't know what to do with negatives. They knew they could take negatives to a lab and get it printed. So it's not like they didn't know what to do. But since digital, we've tended to just go the route as far as photographers and clients go, the route that's the path of least resistance, which is digital files. And sometimes that's the right way to go. That is the right choice, but it isn't always the right choice. I mean, tell me how you feel about this. There's a photograph of my family on the wall, and each time I pass by it, I feel something. Now, each time I pass by my digital files that are on my computer, well, it's just my computer sitting there. I have no emotional connection to it. But walking by that photograph that's on the wall of my family, I'm not always crying tears of joy, but that's effectively what's going on. And having the opportunity to cry those tears of joy, that is impactful. That is powerful. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely kind of in both realms. I'm digital age, all of that. And I love having both. For me, it's not only, I have, a wedding photo that my parents had printed. It was right after their wedding. They're going to their honeymoon. And it's my favorite photo of my mom and dad. And it's next to my bed. And I look at it every single day, and I love it. And I also, my laptop screensaver is a photo I got scanned at Digital Pro Lab. It's a film photo of the last time I went on a road trip with my dog who passed, and that's my screensaver. And both are so important, but what's so important to me is the mental security of having all of those both scanned and printed, and they're in two places. That for me is the best thing, knowing that. And when I walk by those photos, I know that's something that I can pass down, that I can hold and I can show people. And yeah, it's a different feeling for sure, holding a photo and having it on your phone. But I think as we're, people who do both, we live in homes and we also live here, it's having both for me that makes me feel really secure that my photos are safe. If something happens to this, I have pretty much everything printed. I go through once a month and kind of just print a bunch of my stuff out from my phone, even just pictures I take with my phone, right? Because those are my memories. And I have a shoebox and I put all of it in there. And then I have it all also archived. And so I think for me, it's having both that I know that safety of my memories is one of my like priorities, you know. And I think that's something that the lab has taught me, and that I am like super passionate about teaching other people. So
Good.
and
Very
talk
good.
about printing
Thank you
all
for
day.
I bet you do. Thank you for sharing that, Courtney. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. All right, I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. I'm going to ask the same question now of, let's see. Did I start you with that question? Yes. So, no, I started with Jason with that question, right?
The
I can't
last one
remember
was
now.
Jason. Jason, and then yeah.
Jason started, so you were the second one to answer that question then, or you were the
No, I
third?
was the last one.
You're the last, so I now need to move on to the next question.
Yes.
All right. So then, when developing ways, you know what? Let me put this one up on the screen. When developing the ways that your services or offerings are going to be marketed, what factors are influencing you?
Yeah, we have a lot of discussions about all this obviously all the time, but you know, it is how can we, you know, we're a print lab. It's sort of, you know, it is something that sometimes feels like people don't prioritize. And so I think a lot of times we try to show people through other people's stories, or um, you know, get people thinking about why they need to print. What occasions are they printing? Is it a wedding? Is it, you know, a newborn? There's all these occasions that people print. And so you know, when we're marketing either our printing services or our products, ways people can print, or our classes, we're always trying to keep in top of mind that, you know, printing isn't always people's priority, but how can we help them to understand why it's important to prioritize those things? You know, obviously keeping up with our social media presence and that community, there's always the trends, the reels, and things like that. But what we really try to keep top of mind is always people, why they need to print, what types of occasions, and educating people on why it's so important, and how can we do that in new ways and sometimes in fun ways to capture. I mean, our audience goes from, you know, 16-year-olds bringing in their little point and shoot cameras to, you know, the older generations bringing in their family heirlooms to be restored and archived. So we have this really, really broad audience that we need to educate about printing, about our products, about our services, from not just printing, but the archiving and the restoration and things like that. And so it's always like, how can we reach all of these people and create a space where they all feel comfortable? You know, where we have an Instagram where, you know, a younger person might be like, oh, that's funny, they're cool. You know, those are important things for younger generations, and, you know, the Gen Z and millennials. And then we have, you know, older generations, and making it a space in our marketing overall, because, right, it is a community, whether it's our email subscribers, our social media, our Instagram, our Facebook, and our events and our community outreaches, that everybody feels welcome. And I think, you know, we try to do that as much as possible because we do have a large audience to reach. It's so many age ranges. So
That's true. You do have that. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm looking at the clock thinking, all right, we need to start slowing this down, because I want to give each one of you an opportunity to do some closing thoughts. And then I want to share what the upcoming titles are for the next Portrait Profit shows. And so let's begin with you with some closing thoughts. Is there anything that you want to share with the viewers about you or what you do or Digital Pro Lab?
yeah, print your work, print your photos, even if it's iPhone photos or you don't think they're good enough, or if you're, you know, a photographer starting out, you know, we just want you guys in there. We want you to see how different it is when you're holding your photos, your memories in your hands, obviously. And yeah, I mean, use the resources, use the classes, the community get-togethers, the photo walks, and the snappy hours. It's definitely just important, and it's not always for business. Sometimes it's just to have friends and people, in your lane that understand what you're going through as a small business owner, as a photographer. And yeah, we're always here for San Antonio, for our community. Also, Jim, you have your Portrait Profits every Monday, usually at noon to 1, I believe. I put them on our calendar, so I should know this. But, just thank you for doing those and being so consistent with that. And I definitely encourage people to tune into those as much as possible, because it's really, really useful information as well. So.
Well, thank you for what you do. Thank you for doing things that are uplifting photographers and what it is that we do. Thank you for making this the first thing you do when you come back from visiting family. And I'm sure there's other things you need to be doing right now. And this probably isn't one of them, but man, that means you love photographers. You love us. It. And we appreciate you and how much you love us. So thank you for that. I personally thank you for supporting the Portrait Profits Show by adding it to the calendar, by reaching out to me every once in a while. Courtney and I talk via email often. So that's our thing, our connection.
Yeah.
But I appreciate all that you do. I mean, this is the 202nd episode of the Portrait Profits Show, and Amanda and Digital Pro Lab have been here every step of the way. In fact, it is Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School that are supporting this show. This show doesn't happen without Digital Pro Lab and without Landers Photography School. So thank you for your efforts for the Portrait Profits Show and for photographers even more so.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Now I'm going to bring everybody on. I'm going to bring the other two on to do their closing thoughts, and then I'll bring all of you back on right at the end just to say goodbye. But let me bring on Jason next. So Jason, do you have some thoughts, some closing thoughts you'd like to end this show off with today?
Closing thoughts. I think reach out to me directly. We're still kind of building this thing out right now. Don't even have the website built, and so this thing is brand new that we're building here. This creative space. So just you can reach out to me on Instagram at Jason Barnes Photo. But yeah, just keep putting your work out there. I love seeing the creativity in this community, and I want to see more of it. I want to be part of it and help support you in whatever way I can. So yeah, please reach out. And thank you, Jim, for having me on. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being here. The fact that you are doing something that is clearly benefiting the photographers in the area is something I appreciate and admire, and that is, of course, what attracts me to you, because you are doing this kind of thing. You're making this happen. You're saying I'm not perfect. I am doing the things that I can, but along the way, I want to pull some other people up and bring them right along with me. And they're going to do things that do the same for me. And so we see this as a win-win, a beneficial situation, a symbiotic environment where we're all helping each other out to continue to move and to grow. So thank you for what you are putting so much effort into creating right now. And I look forward to seeing more of it and seeing all the positive influence that it has.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, I'll bring you back on here in just a minute. I want to bring Shivangi on, and I want to give you an opportunity to share your closing thoughts before we end the show tonight.
Okay, absolutely.
Or this morning, depending on where you're at.
Morning, you got it. Okay, so just a few things quickly. Let's talk about social media for a second. All I would like to say is don't overthink your content. I have met lots and lots of people who is just like, okay, this video is not perfect. My face doesn't look good. My hair doesn't look good. Yeah, that'll happen, and that'll happen unless you put out loads of pieces of content and you stop being conscious about how you're looking or how your work's looking. But you have to do it in order to, reach a momentum and also just get the traction that you've been seeing your favorite photographer or favorite influencer get. So social media related, stop overthinking your content and just do that first post so you can go ahead with, moving forward. So just start. That's one. And a lot of AI tools, and AI is just a few things that we've been hearing for the past year, and this year it'll be so much more. Uh, there are a lot of things that can be automated using AI, or there can be a lot of things that'll just make your life easier as a business owner using AI. So don't resist change. Maybe try a few platforms out. And while we talk about AI, the community presence and more of that human touch is just going to increase a lot more. You'll see that in your content happening. If you scroll through Instagram, if you scroll through Facebook communities, you would see a lot more people showing their face and just coming up and sharing their stories, because people are still longing for that human connection, especially in the age of AI. And that is where, a community that Jim has been trying to form, Jason has been now starting to form. These communities are what's going to sort of come handy, because people really want to talk to real people. And just don't shy away from, of course, collaborating and networking. It doesn't, I have said this to a lot of time to wedding photographers, you do not have to just network with wedding photographers, but also other wedding vendors like your venues, your event planners. They're a part of this industry, and collaboration is the way to go. So that's all the inputs from my end.
And it's a lot. And thank you for saying thank you, and thank you for being you, and that wonderful smile, those bright eyes, that caring about other people. It does make a difference. We do care. We do see it. You may not hear it enough. I hope you do, because what you're doing is making a difference. We love what you're doing. We love the virtual hug that you give each one of the people that I've seen you work with, and me included. So thank you for being you. Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for coming from the other side of the planet,
Oh,
early in the morning, and being here with us to uplift the photography community. I appreciate you, Shivangi. You rock.
thank you so much for having me, and thank you for doing all that you're doing.
Of course. Well, I'm going to pull you off the screen, but I'm going to bring all three faces on here in just a moment so that everybody can say thank you to you. But give me just a moment while I do that. So, you guys, what an incredible discussion. Each of our guests brought such valuable perspectives on how they support and strengthen our industry. One of the things I love most about the photography business community is how is discovering these connections that we have. So how different professionals and services are coming together to help photographers succeed. Today's panel really exemplified the interconnected nature of our industry. We've heard unique insights about their roles, their philosophies, their visions for supporting photographers. And I hope this discussion has opened your eyes to the network of professionals working to help your business thrive, and perhaps even giving you some new perspectives on making the most of these valuable partnerships. Thank you once again to our amazing panelists for sharing their time and their insights with us today. And as I bring back the panelists for a moment to say thank you, I want you to go to the comment section and tell them thank you. Please show your appreciation for their gift of time and attention by clicking the like button or the love button. It's wonderful people like Shivangi and Courtney and Jason who uplift the photography community, and we want to encourage them to continue to do so with our comments. Panelists, thank you for your willingness to share your thoughts and experience with us, and the challenges that you experience. Your insights are going to help so many photographers. You guys rock.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Nice to meet y'all. Thanks.
You guys are awesome. All right. Thank you guys one last time. And I'm going to, you're welcome to stay and watch this. I'm going to be sharing with the viewers the upcoming free business classes that we have coming to them every Monday at noon. So I'll thank you guys once again for being here. Oh, man. These guys are wonderful. We always have such wonderful panelists. And these guys are no exception. It seems like maybe they just keep getting better and better every time, though. Make sure you're telling them thank you. Take a moment, go over to the comment section and tell them you appreciate them being here. As you know, Lens Legends, you get the Portrait Profit Show every Monday. And I want to share with you what's coming up. So in 1 week from today, and I'll put this up on the schedule or up on the screen. This is, can you believe we're already close to the end of January 2025? Yep. 1 week from today is January 20th at noon. We're going to be talking about the myth of the magical tool. Let me put that up on the screen so you can see the show graphic. You've heard this a bunch of times. Nice picture. You must have a great camera. So is it the camera or is it the creative behind it? Well, add this episode to your calendar to hear the truth about your talent, tools, and how to respond to that comment with grace and confidence, or perhaps a clever comeback. I'm going to share those with you a week from today on January 20th at noon. And then 1 week after that, we have January 27th at noon called The Hidden Truth. And let me put that one up on the screen. Let's see, The Hidden Truth. There it is. Your photography business is about selling images. But that's exactly why you are struggling. Because in reality, you are in the emotion business. And your marketing message needs this profound shift to truly connect with your ideal clients. So join me to discover the hidden psychology that top earning portrait photographers use to build a thriving business, even in saturated markets. And that is January 27th at noon. 1 week after that, we're going to be talking about battling invisible competitors. Clients seem to be vanishing into thin air, ghosting you, choosing options that some of you never even knew existed. So join me as I rip off the mask of your real competitor. Spoiler, that photographer who you think is getting some of your clients, they're the least of your worries. I've got a bonus for this one. I'm sharing it's called the Photographer's Ghostbuster Checklist with all those who attend this particular one. February 3rd, battling invisible competitors. And a month from now, when we do the next panel discussion, that'll be on February 10th, and we move those panel discussions to 6:30 in the evening, just because it's easier to get the panelists to have time to be able to do it. So that's why we move it to 6:30 in the evening. Otherwise, it's at noon. And so I'll tell you one more. On February 17th, we're doing the Anti-Salesperson Club. Photographers who hate sales, unite! The Anti-Salesperson Club has started, but there's a problem. You are not qualified to join. You're an artist, a creative who wants others to enjoy their work. You're already a salesperson. Now, I want to give you a warning about this one. This show may cause unexpected bursts of business confidence and the strange urge to stop being the best kept secret in town. Put that on your calendar. Put all of those on your calendar, because I sure do look forward to sharing those topics and more with you. So add these free lessons to your calendar now before you forget. Lens Legends, as we bring today's discussion about the photographer support partners to a close, I want to once again to express my sincere gratitude to our panelists for sharing their invaluable wisdom and experiences. You know, photographers aren't just members of some profession, we're constantly evolving storytellers who leave a mark on the world through the moments we create and the memories we immortalize. You know, we're the guardians of moments, the crafters of heirlooms, and the architects of history. So, as we move forward, armed with the insights and inspirations from our wonderful panelists, let's challenge ourselves to embrace change, to push the boundaries of creativity and professionalism. Let's commit not only to enhancing skills, but also to nurturing the bonds that make our photography community a source of strength, innovation, and collective achievement. Thanks again to our wonderful, generous panelists for their contributions of thought, advice, and time. And of course, thank you, Lens Legends, for your time and attention here today. I encourage you to join me for our next weekly live stream a week from today at noon. So for Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, my name is Jim Landers, and I bring you the weekly Portrait Profit Show. Until next time, Lens Legends, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep making your mark in the world. I look forward to watching you grow. You rock. I appreciate you. I think you're amazing. Bye for now.